quick, let me just ask, because I know you haven't seen Bloodshot, and if you saw it, you would probably feel the same way you feel about Wonder Woman 84.
Maybe.
Do you think Wonder Woman 84 is better than Suicide Squad? Because that movie makes no sense from beginning to end either.
Suicide Squad is way better than Wonder Woman.
Really? That actually might be a real debates match we might do. That would be dope. I don't know.
That might be dope.
That would actually be dope. Do you want to do that, Ian?
I will destroy him.
Oh, okay. So there it is. I got Woman 84, and he has Suicide Squad. It's settled. Let's do it. I can't wait to do this. Before I start, Ian, I just want to say this, man. Whatever happens, I still love you, man. You're still my friend.
Oh, okay. So we have a biased moderator.
What is up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Real Debates. Man, this has been an amazing season 2, and listen, we're just going to jump right into it. So today's episode, we have the controversial debate amongst my friends, Wonder Woman 84 versus the Suicide Squad. Two trash movies. Well, you know, one's trash, one's probably not as much as trash, but
two trash movies.
Two trash movies.
Yeah, just keep it real. Two trash movies.
Two trash movies in a sense that are going to be going head to head. I'll be repping Wonder Woman 84. And Ian will be repping Suicide Squad. And Jeremy will be moderating for today's match. And before we get into the moderations and before we jump into the match, guys, I have some new Real Debates merch in the link below. So just click the link below if you want to check that out. I also have more merch that I've created for the Momentum Media store there on teespring.com. Also, real quick, guys, we're doing a lot of different things on the channel. So check out all of our channels, and I promise you'll have a good time watching all of our great content. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the rules of the match. Each round has 2 minutes per round. First round's introduction. Second round is our battle round, and our third round is the final statements. Each competitor has 2 minutes to make their case for each individual round. If you're new here, we like to welcome you to the show. Like I said, I am not moderating today, but Jeremy will be our moderator today. So Jeremy, take it away.
As Alex just now said, just to reinforce, 2 rounds, 6 minutes a round. Each person has to talk over. So you guys that have been keeping up with Real Debates, we're really happy that you stopped back by, and we would love to hear suggestions on debates that you want to see had right here on Momentum Media. If there are other content creators that you want to see compete in this game, reach out, let them know, let us know. We would love to kind of expand the reach of this thing because it's a series that we've all really enjoyed participating in. Yes. So this specific round, the question on the table is, which of these 2 movies is better? Wonder Woman 1984, which Alex is going to be fighting for, or is it Suicide Squad, which Ian is going to be fighting for? Personal bias aside, I really do believe that this round could go either way. I also feel like I got pretty big shoes to fill. Alex, obviously, the consummate professional, does it week after week and does a fantastic job doing it. But Ian is just one of my favorite moderators to watch. So there will be yelling, there will be cussing, and there will be cutting off of competitors if you choose to go over your 2-minute time.
I can't wait. Getting cussed out by an old man is always funny.
Good, yes. And as a black man, I'm sure that you are definitely used to that.
Look at me when I'm talking to you, motherfucker. Motherfucker.
Oh, wow.
Get off my lawn.
Hey.
All right.
Woo, you're already a great host. I love it.
Here we go.
Oh, man.
All right, so I'm going to choose a number between 1 and 25 for some reason, just random number pulled out of the air. And house rules, so we're going to let Alex choose first between 1 and 25. Alex, what is your number?
I'm going to go with 10.
It's a good choice. Good choice, Ian.
I'm going with 13.
Ian's a little closer. Jordan, 23 was the number. So
Okay.
Ian, I'm not going to make you go first. I'm going to allow you to choose whether or not you want to start things off or you want Alex to go first in the first round.
Well, I know you said house rules, but I don't respect the house at this moment, so I'm going first.
And I respect that. I respect that. So round one is as follows. Ian has 2 minutes to break down why he has decided that Suicide Squad is the better of these two films and how he justifies that. That's basically it. So when I start this timer, Ian is going to tell me why Suicide Squad is a good film in 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
Well, on a personal note, I can't believe y'all got me up this early to debate these stupid ass movies, but we're going to keep going on with this. All right. So Suicide Squad had a lot of great moments. Honestly, that's why it's not the best comic book movie of all time. It's not even nowhere near the top 10. It's a shitty movie, like I said, but it gave us some iconic moments that are branding the future of DC films and just iconic superhero movies in general. In fact, that they introduced our first live action version of Harley Quinn was amazing. She's perfect casting, honestly. If you don't think that, then you just got a weird bias. Will Smith as Deadshot, holy shit. You know, he's been on a cold streak lately, but like, his performance in a comic book movie was amazing. I loved that part where he was mowing down those putties. That was comic book accurate. Of course, we're not going to talk about the Joker. We'll probably talk about that later. But at the end of the day, Boomerang was amazing. So I think that these guys got the characters correct. It's just Amanda Waller too. I can't forget her as well. But this movie is one of those examples where they got the character development correct. It's just the shitty movie that they're in, which branded Harley Quinn getting her own movie. She's going to be in the Suicide Squad sequel, which I am looking forward to, with James Gunn doing the directing. This movie wasn't great, but it has me hopes for the future. His movie, however, it doesn't have me hopes for the future. So I'll get into that a little bit later, but that is why I thought this movie was a little bit better. I thought the character development was great, and I fell in love with these characters. Wasn't in love with the story, but these characters, I was like, I want to see more of that. Don't really want to see more of his characters. I yield my time.
With about 15 seconds left on the clock, very compelling arguments made there, really hammering home the fact that this has got several good characters. He by no means said every character is good, and kind of acknowledged that some in particular may be less than good. However, he did say that Harley Quinn is perfect casting, that Deadshot is a good performance from Will Smith, that him mowing down the putties was a exciting scene that was comic book accurate. He mentioned Captain Boomerang as well as Amanda Waller, and really just kind of drove home the point that there's a hopeful future for this franchise. He's excited to see where things are going, where maybe Wonder Woman has kind of soured his tastes on that. So I'm taking all of these things into consideration, can tabulate real quick, and it's 420. I don't
I got
how that happened. Didn't realize there were even numbers in there. Alex, all right, we're going to go ahead and pass this over to you. In this first round, as you know, as the folks at home might not know, this isn't about rebutting what Ian said. This is about just laying out the groundwork for why you chose Wonder Woman 1984. You have 2 minutes and go.
So I chose Wonder Woman 84 because, as I stated before, it's not the best sequel, but it's an okay sequel to its predecessor. At the end of the day, we do see a cohesive story with our character, her progression, and her character development. She does some very wacky things in this movie that ultimately don't make sense, which I can acknowledge, but I can also understand the progression of the character of basically pushing herself to be better. Yes, we get to see new elements of her flying and different elements of her fighting and just different things that she's done with previous supporting characters like Steve Trevor and others. But this particular movie is a continuation of the progression of Wonder Woman as a character. And the thing is that granted, yes, as I said before, we can acknowledge that this movie has a lot of problems. But when I look at Wonder Woman 84, it sets up a good beginning from her homeland, how she became the warrior and how she's fighting through these things. And then it sets it up as the very things that she was challenging herself with. She has to now endure those challenges throughout the rest of this movie. There's some weird sorcery elements that ultimately don't make sense, but it tells a wacky, cohesive story that ultimately, once we get to the end of the movie, we actually see where this character may end up. Now, I am excited for the future of this character. There were a lot of great woman moments in this movie, and ultimately, I walked away from saying that it was okay. It wasn't trash. It wasn't too bad for what it was. But at the end of the day, I understand the criticism and I understand where she is. But at the same time, I feel like this story fit the narrative of what Wonder Woman was supposed to be in regards of dealing with the trials and tribulations that she had. I yield my time.
Very well done with 5 seconds left. And Alex, I also made some very solid points, including it has problems. I think
That is the best point
you
you
hit
can make
that
right
one
there.
about 3 times there. Yes, it does.
Can't disagree with that.
Also, you mentioned the development of the character, how it's kind of a natural progression for Wonder Woman and Diana, that at the beginning of the film, she is shown to be struggling with this idea of winning the fair way versus taking the easy route. And I think you touched on that, and now it pays off at the end of the film. You also touched on the fact that there are some, very specifically female moments in this film. I think that's worth bringing up. I really like the lesbian Coliseum at the beginning. Really enjoyed that. The lesbian Olympics is that. Anyways, good points. Good points all around. I think round 1 was a success. I apologize. The views shared by this host do not represent that of Momentum Media.
Thank you for saying that.
No problem, bud. I got you covered. All right, so round 2. This round, as you know, isn't about telling me what makes your movie great. It's actually my favorite round, because it's the round where you tell me why the other movie is terrible. And that seems on brand to me. So in the first round, Ian went first. In this round, Alex is going to go first. I'm going to let you kick this thing off. You have 2 minutes to let me know why Suicide Squad ain't that good. In 3, 2, 1, go.
So we're not arguing which movie is the better movie. We're actually arguing which movie has more substance. And let's be clear, Wonder Woman 84 has more substance in comparison to Suicide Squad. When we look at Wonder Woman 84, it sets up a beginning, middle, and an end. We get a great opening, a great climax, and a great conclusion. We see where she's going to go, and we have hope for the future for her. Let's talk about Suicide Squad. Opening didn't make any sense. Middle didn't make any sense. End, just trash. It's just nothing but a trash film. Damn! When I look at Amanda Waller, she's so incompetent that she recruits Enchantress, the very person that they have to fight.
Meet the Enchantress.
So let me get this straight. You set up these Task Force X to fight the very person that you recruited on your team? That doesn't make any sense to me. And the leader, Rick Flag, falls in love with her at the end, or they were in love during the whole time. So let me get it straight. You love someone that was trying to kill you. Okay, and now we have the Joker. The Joker that had nothing to do with the movie and its story at all.
Really?
He was just plopped in each and every scene. My thing is that if you took Joker out the movie, it would still be the same trash film that it is. Jared Leto's an amazing actor, but he provided nothing for this movie. At the end of the day, Ian talked about looking for a bright future. Let's be clear. The next Suicide Squad movie doesn't have all of those cast members that he mentioned for the next movie. It has maybe Rick Flag and Harley Quinn. I think maybe Captain Boomerang, but everybody else is gone. They gutted that movie because it's trash. They even tried to do a spinoff movie with Harley Quinn. That was trash. So at the end of the day, if we're talking about hopeful futures, Suicide Squad doesn't have that big of a future because it's not even bringing back the original cast.
I ain't trying to be like 30 years ago. I ain't trying to make no comeback. I'm gone, and I want to stay gone.
As Wonder Woman, although, has a bright future because Patty Jenkins is going to learn from her mistakes. I yield my time.
Really great point at the end there. I like that you brought that up, that Patty Jenkins can learn from her mistakes. She's still attached. You made some interesting observations about the fact that some of the cast members are going to be returning. However, they kind of gutted themselves. And you touched on the self-fulfilling prophecy of Task Force X, which I really appreciated. Amanda Waller set up this thing that inevitably ended up being the thing that she was trying to defend the thing from happening. So Yeah, a little bit of a logical inconsistency, logical fallacy there. And you mentioned that. I appreciate that. And you also said that as far as the future goes, that Harley Quinn had her own movie and Birds of Prey wasn't all that great. And so I can definitely see where you're coming from in your round number 2 arguments, Alex. Ian, you know the deal. Let's go ahead and get to it in 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right, fair warning, I might mess some names up, guy like to clown on me, but who gives a shit? These are stupid-ass movies, and they're very forgettable. So I'm going to fuck names up. Get over it. All right, so you in the beginning said that we are not arguing the better movie. We are arguing the substance of the characters or whatever the fuck you said. That was wrong. What was the question again? What is the better movie? So that's wrong, sir. We are arguing what the better movie is. Not, what would make me feel better as a black man? All right. You said this was an okay sequel. Let me tell you something, brother. Rush Hour 3 is an okay sequel.
You tell him that his mom was a H.
Carter, I believe whore was spelled with a W.
Shrek 4 is an okay sequel.
Wake up, Daddy, wake up.
Good morning.
Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 is an okay sequel. This thing was a fucking trash-ass movie sequel, okay? That is not an okay sequel. This was dookie.
Shit don't stink, Mouseketeer looking motherfucker.
Okay, son? Okay, so, let me look at my notes real quick. You said that Joker could be taken out of the movie, and it's the same movie. Fun fact, you are absolutely right. Take Cheetah out this movie, who was supposed to be a main character. This is the same movie. Same fucking point you got, dog. All right, so, okay. I would argue my movie had better woman moments. We have a black woman in charge, Amanda Waller, kicking ass.
Go get it, girl.
And in charge of a huge, great organization. We have Harley Quinn not taking shit from nobody. Yours fucking went the background. He's just pretty much saying, hey, when a guy insults you, whoop their ass. Well, that's really fucking mature to live in this world. Just face your problems by kicking ass. Ours, however,
same thing.
Ours, however, Amanda Waller's not really kicking ass. She's running a business.
She's kicking ass.
She's calling shots. Physically, she's not kicking ass. Yours is fucking assaulting people on the streets. Do you not understand the difference? And my biggest point I want to make, you said yours won life lessons. It took her 100 years to understand that telling the truth was a good thing. When did she learn that shit? She was, 5 years old in the Amazon?
Time, bro. With the haymaker at the end. Oh, man. Say it one more time for the folks in the back. What was the last point that you wanted to drive home so I can put it in my notes?
I wanted to say it took her 100 years to
100 years. to learn that telling the truth was good.
Yeah. It took her to the 80s when she learned that. They told her that in the 1800s. It took her to the 1983 to learn telling the truth is a good thing.
By the way, I said which movie has more substance than the other.
But the argument is which was the better movie.
I didn't know that. All right. Here we go. So to recap Ian's points for the second round, better movie is what my understanding of the question was.
I was using hyperbole.
Enough, Alex.
Understood. Got it, Alex, for sure. And then I like that you also you said, okay, sequel, and you proceeded to list a series of sequels that were just okay, as opposed to bad sequels. That was good. I appreciated that. You also countered back really strong with the Joker to Cheetah comparison. I might not personally agree because I do feel Cheetah was a little more integral to the story. However, I also do believe it could have completely cut her out and it probably would have been the better film for it. I didn't expect you to go with the better female moments, but you kind of sold me on some of those things that it didn't ever feel pandering. However, there was a distinct lack of lesbian Olympics, which is unfortunate. I think any movie can benefit greatly from a 15-minute scene tacked onto the beginning of it. All right. Also, you talk about assault. That was kind of funny. That the message is assaulting people. Granted, the guy was an assaulty guy himself.
Exactly,
he wasn't just criticizing her.
I mean, the Suicide Squad, they didn't insult nobody. None of the females. They were just there.
They're criminals.
But the shooting in the faces of the putties, very very comic book accurate. But that point at the end, I mean, that's a heavy blow. Took Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, 100 years to learn that telling the truth was good, and presumably longer than that to get over her boyfriend for 1 month or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
All right. I love it. So far, so good. I think we've got some pretty solid points going back and forth. I'm going to have a hell of a time coming up with a winner at the end of this, but I do know that in round 3, we're going to be taking a minute to clarify some of the points that we've already made, kind of reiterate, maybe counter some of the points that were made by the opponent. So I also kind of want to ask in this particular round, I want to kind of give you your 2 minutes, ask you one follow-up question for clarification, and that will help me kind of piece this together at the end.
Okay.
Alex, you went first last round.
Yes,
That
sir.
means Ian will be going first this round. And Ian, as I mentioned, you just got 2 minutes to wrap it up. You can counter anything that Alex has said, and then when that 2 minutes is up, I'm going to hit you with one final question in 3, 2, 1, and go.
So, like I said about this franchise, I'm looking forward to seeing the sequel. It does bring back Amanda Waller, Harley Quinn, Boomerang, Rick Flag, and I don't think it's supposed to bring back everybody. You know why? Because it's called the Suicide Squad. If everybody lives in this next movie and they have a sequel with everybody living, I would be like, this is ridiculous. This is not comic book accurate. So yes, every movie I want people to be gone.
Anything happens to Colonel Flag, I'll kill every single one of you. Remember?
I don't want the same people in a Suicide Squad movie. That's the point of Suicide Squad. Not everybody's going to make it. So yes, but your movies with your sequel, with people coming back from the dead, you know, and having to possess somebody's life, and then gets raped by Wonder Woman. Like, what? There's so much inconsistency in your movie. Yes, my movie is not perfect, but oh my gosh, yours gave me almost a fucking aneurysm. Seriously. Like, what are the rules of these wishes? Like, some work, some don't. And then at the end, when everybody has the kumbaya moment, where it's also everybody on the planet brings back their wish, especially the ones with cancer and dead parents. Yes, they're like, oh, I have to renounce my wish because Wonder Woman's having a bad day. Fuck you, Wonder Woman.
Well, do it for me. Fuck you.
I'm not giving back my wish. That's the more realistic take about that. You know, mine, of course, it's a comic book movie at the end of the day, but there's beats for beasts, which you have to follow for everybody to understand what's going on. Your universe doesn't make sense, and it pisses me off because the first one was so good. The first one was an amazing movie. And now that one fucking trashed the whole series that I don't even care about this next one. At least mine was a bad movie that has potential to have a good movie. You know, my expectations are at an all-time low because my movie wasn't that good. Yours, holy shit, should have been better than an A+ movie. And it fucking went to an F. An F. Fuck that movie. I yield my time.
Very, very impassioned round. I appreciate the emotional weight that carried. I didn't know that it hit you that way. But I'm glad that we could all experience that with you.
Have you ever just like, you know somebody could do, like your son, your son could do a good job and he puts his head in a fucking sand and doesn't do shit. That's how I felt about it. Like, you could do better. You're great. What the hell are you doing? All right. That's why
I appreciate that. I am not taking any of it into account. I actually wasn't even paying attention. I was typing, so that works out good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a bunch of bullshit, but okay. Thank you.
All right, so Ian, I do have a question in the chamber for you after we get through Alex's first 2 minutes. Didn't want to let that affect the way that he debates this last round because you did not have that same opportunity. So Alex, you've got 2 minutes. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question afterwards. Your 2 minutes to make your closing argument begin now.
So Ian said that, this movie, you follow this movie beat for beat, you start to get intrigued in the movie, something of that nature. Actually, that's a bunch of bullshit because if you follow that movie, again, it's a heaping pile of garbage. These putties that they fight, quote unquote putties, what is this, Power Rangers?
Time to go home!
They just popped out of nowhere. They all of a sudden now they have to fight him. How do you even know that they're evil? Do you just walk up to them and then now they start engaging into hand-to-hand combat? And by the way, he just said that it's the Suicide Squad. I don't expect them all to live. Only one person died in the first movie, which was Slipknot. So if they're going to make a sequel, I don't expect Slipknot to come back. But if you're going to make a sequel, at least bring back the favorites like Deadshot. Maybe Harley Quinn's coming back. But at least bring back Will Smith. I mean, he was a favorite in that movie, but they're not even doing that. So this whole notion of, yes, it's the Suicide Squad. They're expendable. I get that. But at the same time, they're gutting the movie because the first movie was trash.
Nobody gives a shit, Mike.
And the point I'm making about you can't compare Joker's Jared Leto to Cheetah because Cheetah was a very controversial part in that movie. Jared Leto was just there. He was just there. Even Batman's character was just there. He's only there for 2 minutes. Or 5 minutes, really. And that's it. It doesn't mean anything about this whole, like, seeing Ben Affleck fight Deadshot, so what? Seeing Ben Affleck chase down the Joker to not find the Joker, but find Harley Quinn doesn't make any sense at all. So at the end of the day, if we're going to argue movies that have a beat for beat cohesive story, this movie does not make any sense. Again, Amanda Waller, as smart as she is very incompetent.
Thank you. We'd like Dr. Moon back.
First of all, you try to meet with Bruce Wayne to get the, I guess, files about the Justice League. And then Bruce Wayne tells her that if you don't shut it down, me and my friends will. If you guys don't know, Batman was the one who put all those criminals in jail. Why would you need the Justice League to shut down the Suicide Squad?
He's
already done it. Damn.
Can somebody in the comments explain to Alex what a flashback scene is? That's all I gotta say.
Fuck flashbacks. Okay.
You better leave, brother. Kiss my ass, brotherfucker.
Ian, you got 1 minute to answer the following question, and the question for you is, and you've touched on this several times since we've had the conversation about Wonder Woman. Your impassioned case that you made in round 3 leads me to believe that you were a very big fan of the original Wonder Woman, that you expected more from the sequel.
Absolutely.
How much do you feel that expectations have affected your ability to be objective about this movie? Do you feel that your expectation has weighted it more than how bad the actual movie is? Or can you really just say what one thing about this movie is that just really pushes it into the realm of absurdity? You got 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm glad you asked this question, even though you know damn well it's a bad movie, but it's a fair question. So yes, I can understand like somebody's expectations. If they're not met here, that's automatically a failure. You know, I can understand that. I felt that way about Superman for the longest, and then I went back to it and I'm like, this is actually a really good movie. But no, I can understand why that could damage somebody's viewpoint. But at the end of the day, though, I'm a fan of film. I look at these objectively, not just because of my fan of the franchise. I have to look at it as as artworks, and I am an actual film writer. I'm not made a film yet, but I'm a writer of a film. Things got to make sense. This movie had 2 more things that didn't make sense than the movie that I picked. And that's the reason why it just didn't work out for me. Not because of my expectations, it's just logical choices.
All right. Very well said. With about 10 seconds to spare, I think that really adds clarity. So from a writing perspective, that's the thing that you're keying in on as being the biggest problem with Wonder Woman 84. And now that we are at the end and you've got no more time, couldn't agree with you more, man. I think that is the single easiest thing to point to and say, there's something that doesn't work about this. What is it? The writing. So I think you made an excellent point there at the end. Kind of similarly and completely different, Alex, I got another question, just a follow-up to ask you before we wrap this thing up to help me try to make sense of all of this. You talked a lot about the weakness of Suicide Squad. Many of the points you said I couldn't agree with more. I feel like in that we kind of had to extract ourselves from the mediocrity of Wonder Woman. So let me ask you in that kind of same vein, what is the single strongest aspect of Wonder Woman 1984? And how is that better than the strongest aspect of Suicide Squad? So whatever you like most about Suicide Squad, what is the thing that's best about Wonder Woman? Make it better than Suicide Squad. So you've got about 60 seconds starting now.
It's hard for me to narrow it down to one specific thing, but I would have to say that the one thing that got me to like it a lot more than Suicide Squad is that the progression of Wonder Woman as a character. The rise, the fall, the controversy, the weird things, and then her conclusion. Very odd conclusion, but we see Wonder Woman in a very different light that we didn't get to see her in the first movie. And in a lot of ways, I can appreciate that. And Suicide Squad, I get it that they're wacky. And there are a lot of cool things that I did like about Suicide Squad, but the progression of each character, there wasn't any progression. They were forced to work together and they had to deal with it or they died. And then they had to fight one of their own that ultimately destroyed multiple cities. I don't understand that. So that's what made me love Wonder Woman 84 more, because the progression of her character is a whole lot different and better than Suicide Squad.
Time. All right. Well said. That actually did help me out tremendously. What I'm picking up on is you're really keying in on the progression and the growth of the character, which is another writing thing. This is both of you guys have really kind of focused in on the writing size of it. I like how you mentioned that this shows her in a kind of new light, way that we haven't seen her before. And that there's a distinct lack of arcs in Suicide Squad due to the writing. And I also think that's a good point. So here we are at the very end of this thing. All right, so here we are at the end of this round. We had to swap sessions on the Zoom meeting, which has given me about 5 minutes in between then and now to kind of pour over notes. I typically don't take this many notes, but I wanted to be as fair and as objective as possible and be able to kind of recap in detail why I made the choice that I did so that I could justify it to you instead of just going with my gut, which, if I'm being honest, has let me down quite a few times to this point in my life. But anyways, so the question was, just to reiterate here at the end, which is the better? Go ahead, Alex.
Oh, no, I'm refocusing my camera. Go ahead.
All right, copy.
No, I think he wants you to repeat what the question was.
Oh, no, I'm
So the question was, which of the movies, Wonder Woman 1984 or Suicide Squad, has the most substance? That's what the question was. No, the question was, which is the better movie?
And Alex didn't even know. Look at him.
In round number one, Ian really started things off with some strong points about the cast. That was the thing that he opened up this discussion with. The cast, the characters that they got right. He didn't spend a lot of times on the ones that they fucked up horribly. I'm looking at you, Killer Croc, BET loving guy.
That was stupid.
We got Harley Quinn, perfect casting. Deadshot, really good Will Smith performance, despite the ups and downs that he may have had lately. Boomerang, what an awesome character. Who even knew that you could make a character like Captain Boomerang cool? Amanda Waller, really great. Like Ian, you also close that off with the hopeful future, the fact that there are bright things ahead for the Suicide Squad franchise. Not sure how much I can take that into consideration when it comes to how good of a film this was, but I do appreciate the sentiment. Alex started off round number one talking about the development of the character. And this is something that Alex repeatedly drove home and something that I agree with. This is about Diana as a character. This is about her growth. Yeah, they might have stumbled along the way. You mentioned that it has problems, but the setup at the beginning that a lot of people have criticized the movie for ends up actually paying off in a thematic way at the end. And I think you mentioned that, and I think that's a valid point, as well as, like you said, female moments. And whether or not you look at each individual moment and say, oh, that's good female representation is one thing. But if you have female audiences that really respond positively to this movie, in a way, that's a female moment in itself. And from what I've heard, there are plenty of girls that like this movie. Present Party's girl excluded. I know Toddy is not a fan, but Victoria is a girl. Fan. She is a girl. She is a woman. All right. Anyways, get me out of here. Somebody let me off the hook. Fuck, I'm embarrassed. Yeah. Whoa. All right. Round number two. In this particular round, Alex talked a little bit about the Suicide Squad being trashed because of Amanda Waller's incompetence. That's something I've thought about a couple times. As I said, the self-fulfilling prophecy thing, the romance between Flag and Enchantress is a little wonky. And then Alex again talking about Ian's point about hope for the future. Alex talks about the proof being in the pudding and how Birds of Prey wasn't necessarily all that great. So we've seen the future of the Suicide Squad franchise in some ways. So you guys went back and forth. In round number 3, Ian really came in hard with it's an okay sequel. These are okay sequels, and went through, listed all those. And talked about some of the better female moments, which I actually thought was a pretty effective argument, in particular because it never brought attention to itself or tried to be that thing. It just was. So still going back and forth, round number 3, in regards to Suicide Squad, Alex kind of talked about, and I thought this was a really great point where Alex, you said, we expected the Suicide Squad to not have a bunch of returning cast members, so I expected that Slipknot wouldn't return. He's the only one that dies in the original Suicide Squad. It's a pretty good point, man. The Suicide Squad, none of them die except for Boomerang. So anyways, I'm going through to just let you guys know that I took a look at all of the different rounds individually. I've kind of weighted each of the things against each other. And in round 1, I really do believe Ian came out on top. I think that you just had a more concise way of driving home what it is that you thought worked about the movie. In round number 2, I think Alex killed that round. I think, Alex, you did a really good job in regards to just hitting on some of the things, and maybe they've been said before, maybe they haven't, things that I hadn't heard of that I thought were really impressive, and that worked for me. And I also kind of responded to the fact that Ian brought up the promise of the future of the franchise, and you kind of were like, hey, we did already get that. So I thought round 2 went to Alex, and a really, really good job there. Round 3, when it came down to kind of reiterating, reinforcing, bringing in new points to the argument, I felt, again, that round number 3 went to Ian. I just felt like, Alex, I felt like you kind of got stuck in a smaller loop. And that's not usually the case. I feel like where a lot of times you're very good about bringing specificity to the argument. I think what you did very well this particular match was knock Suicide Squad without having these really strong reasons to defend Wonder Woman 84. So up to that point, it looks like Ian is ahead. And then in order to really make sense of all of that at the end, Alex, you did make a really good point again about this being the growth and the development of the character. I really liked the fact that you said that Patty Jenkins can learn from her mistakes because she's staying attached to the project. She really has molded Wonder Woman to becoming, the superhero that we all know and love today. So I think that was a really strong point. But I think, Ian, I don't know if I, set you up with one to knock out of the park, but the way that you answered the questions about expectations and how that could dictate your emotional feelings about the movie, you acknowledged it. You didn't try to say, no, that had nothing to do with it. And then you also explained that despite that, there were still some narrative issues. So all of that said, this particular round is going to Ian Elliott Carter of The Controversy, our week's winner. Well done, guys. Both really well fought. I enjoyed debating it. I mean, I enjoyed watching it go down. I enjoyed moderating it, and I look forward to doing many more of these. So as I mentioned up at the top, you guys make sure that if you want to be a part of this thing that we're doing over here on Real Debates, you let us know, or you email Alex. He's going to let you know how you can reach him after this. But thank you, my friend. Thank you for letting me moderate this event. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thanks,
Alex,
man. This was
back to you. Yeah, dude. Hell yeah. You did excellent.
This was very therapeutic because I wanted to get all that out. I've been holding that in for a while. I wanted to just let out some steam about that movie.
Well done.
Well done. Definitely. I will take my defeat and say, even though I disagree with the judgment, I will take my defeat. But he's right. He all jokes aside, he is right. Suicide Squad, I think from a fun standpoint, it's a fun movie. But yeah, that's how far I would go with that. But at the same time, I will concede and say on inauguration day of all days, I will concede and say that Ian is our winner. He has done an amazing job defending this movie. And man, like Jeremy said, if you want to be a competitor on this show, hit me up. I've had a few of you guys hit me up. So definitely going to do some scheduling. Next week's match will definitely be a different type of match. I'm glad you guys continue to keep coming back and watching our content. So please like, comment, and subscribe and share Real Debates. We're going to try to grow this thing and make it really big. Ian, this week's winner, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me not at the movie theaters watching Wonder Woman 84.
Oh, wow.
You can find me on youtube.com/thecontroversy or on Instagram and Twitter at @I_controversy. Holla at me, baby.
Awesome. And Jeremy, this week's moderator, where can we find you on social media?
Make sure that you are subscribed to Movies Are Terrible on YouTube. I'm not sure exactly when this video is going up, but I am in the midst of working on some WandaVision content. So if you guys are looking for some extra deep dives into that, make sure to check out Movies Are Terrible. Also, Jeremy B. Terrible on Twitter and Instagram. And I know you guys in particular, both of y'all are like, oh, really, Jeremy coming back to do the Marvel recap show? That sounds on brand, but I've been digging it. I think it's been fun and interesting, so I'm looking forward to talking about it with you guys.
Yeah, and I have some interesting opinions about that show as well. But yeah, definitely check out Jeremy's channel and Ian's channel. They both do weekly live shows, so they put out really great content. So definitely want to check those guys out. Also, guys, real quick, check out our merch, pushing our merch really heavy this year. We have a lot of stuff coming out under Momentum Media. If you want to support us, just be a subscriber. And also, if you want to be a part of the Real Debates brand, just buy a shirt and just leave a comment. Just help support the channel in any ways you can. So we really do appreciate your love and support. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. And as always, you guys, you have a blessed day.